Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone. Today, we have for you a monthly tradition. We are the only ones that get the top 5 infinite leaderboard players' decks at the end of each season in order to share with you, and then we make predictions of what the best 5 decks are going to be the season after that. This is an exclusive video, the only place you can get all this information in one place, and the only place you can find a lot of these decks anywhere. So hopefully you find interest in that. We're also doing giveaway winners. This might be video 1 of 2 for the day. We're going to see how the day goes and how timing works out. The top 6 players for the August season are number 6, YoWoodyMJ, the first time he's finished out of the top 5 since we started doing these in the April-May season. And it's all of at number 6 by just a few snap points. In number 5 is BBAK, our old friend, who was number 1 in February, number 2 in March, a wonderful player. Number 4 is KXFrun, who lost to YoWoodyMJ in the SnapCon tournament finals, but was able to edge out his friend in the Infinite Leaderboard race. Another member of that group is Butt. Butt was able to finish in the 3rd place spot. He's finished in 4th in previous seasons. He doesn't compete at the top of the Infinite Leaderboard every season, but when he does extremely well. Barzy, our friend Barzy, finished barely ahead of Butt, but with a massive climb in the last several days once he discovered a deck he really loved in the number 2 spot. Props to Barzy, member of the Snap Judgments the Snap Judgments Alliance Competitive. And then number 1 is, again, you know all these people obviously, but number 1 is our friend Derek, who rocked this season almost from the start, being in first place. This is about as dominant a season as we've seen since, I believe it was either March or April, when FAK Crazy was in number 1 basically the whole season. This is as dominant as it gets, from almost the start of the season to the end of the season, and then ending with a 400 plus snap point edge. Derek, formerly known as Havoc OP, absolutely takes the number 1 spot on the Infinite Leaderboard, crushing the competition. Props to Derek for this one. Alright, we're going to get to decks momentarily, but first, we're trying to hit 15,000 subs, and we do our best to bring you the most Marvel Snap content. We do 7 days a week of videos, including 1 day of a massive podcast, and every other day has at least 3 brand new decks. We bring you exclusive decks from top players that you can't get anywhere else. We're trying to hit 15,000 subs, and right below us, if you just hit that little red sub button, that little YouTube looking thing, that'll sub you to the channel and it'll help us out. And if you're willing to, likes and comments also help us grow. In addition, we give away more season passes than anyone. We've already given away 5. We're giving away 5 more in this video, literally the next slide, so wait like 2 to 3 minutes. But we're not done. We also give away a season pass every single week on the channel. 1 video every week carries a season pass. We ask a question every day. If you answer that question and you get the right video, you are entered to win that season pass. So if you're interested, please do check it out. We give away 5 season passes for the last week of the season, and then 5 the first week of the new season. The reason we do it that way is the 5 on the last week of the season are for our most loyal fans, those that are here watching every video. Then the 5 at the new season are our way to say, hey, welcome to the channel. Let's try and find some more friends to watch the videos and help us reach our goals. Alright, so our 5 giveaway winners are Gelatine AC, Shiba Churro, Bridie 301, DAV21, and Prince Waldron. Props to these 5 winners. Please figure out how to find me on the stuff at the bottom of the screen. Pause if you need to. I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll get you those season passes as soon as possible. Alright, so number 6 player is YoWoodyMJ. YoWoody plays on the US server. Woody played 4 decks, Ravonna Goblins, Surfy Poo, Jax Wolf, and Double Up, which is honestly not true. Woody played like 30 decks. Woody plays more decks than anyone at the top of the Infinite Leaderboard every single season. But these are his most played decks that were successful. Got it? These are the most played successful decks from YoWoodyMJ, one of the game's very best players, the SnapCon champion of this year. The first deck is one we featured on the channel ages ago. This is Woody's Ravonna Goblins. This is a very simple and straightforward deck in that you try and junk up the opponent in the early to mid game. You get Ravonna out. Ravonna is nice for Cassandra. It's nice for that Green Goblin, and it's nice for Dagger. And you just, as you junk them up, you then can drop Ajax, on turn 5, but like the only real negative card you're playing, because you're not playing Hazmat early, is White Widow. That'll give them negative power. And then on the last turn, you Ghost Spider, Iron Fist Dagger, Ghost Spider, Iron Fist Dagger, Sage, something along those lines, and you throw Hazmat in there. Ajax shoots up to 20 power, Dagger shoots up to 20 power, Sage can be 10 plus power, and all of a sudden you've won 1,000,000 cubes. Very curious. The reason I'm talking so much about this list, we can't go this deep into every list, right? The reason I'm talking so much about this list is I'm very, very curious if, without Cassandra Nova, but adding in the card coming this week, which is Madame Web, who is a 2/1 ongoing that moves one card away from here, we can find something else with this list. Perhaps we even add Madame Web and then another card like Vulture and say we've got a little bit of extra early power as well. I'm very curious to see if this list can be revived as a top deck, likely without Copycat and Cassandra Nova, and instead running Vulture and Madame Web. Let's see how that goes. This list was amazing when it first came out. This was the best deck, in my opinion, in the very early season of the game. It fell off later, but it remains a really cool and powerful and fun deck to play. Next up, Woody every season plays an absolute ton of Surfer. One SnapCon with Surfer. This is the Surfer list. It's one of the best lists in Marvel Snap. Woody's the premier Surfer player and builder. If this is the Surfer he plays, this is probably the right Surfer. You can do without several of the cards. Cassandra Nova, Red Guardian, and Nocturne are all sort of swing cards at this point in the list. Gwenpool and Hope Summers are amazing. Hopefully you're a season pass buyer. Hopefully you're able to win Cassandra Nova. You're one of those 250,000 people, dear viewer. But this list is it. This is where you want to be for Surfer. It answers everything. It puts out an insane amount of power, largely thanks to Gwenpool, but it's just a lot of power anyway. Phenomenal list. Give it a try. Next up, we have Woody's Ajax Wolf. This is a nice, simple Ajax Wolf list. I played a version of this season to Infinite that we're going to look at in a video, I want to say tomorrow, but time has lost all meaning. So that might be later today's video. That might be tomorrow's video. We'll figure that out. This list is amazing. If you want a full guide on this, stay freaking tuned. We are going to do one soon. The one I used was all of one card different. It ran Silver Sable over Rocket Raccoon. I think it is one of the best lists in the game. This was, for a time, the best list in the game as well. Although, again, later season it fell off. I think it's back now. I think a lot of the meta is not as prepared for this as it was. And if you're not seeing a lot of Luke Cage, this is one of the stronger things you could be doing. Finally, I've never seen this list before, so I guess we're going to have to cover it. I'm going to have to figure out where the hell this came from. I'll ask around. I have not had time before this video. My wife and I went to see a play today. If you're interested in that, you can ask in a question of the day in the comments. But we went to see Once Upon a Mattress and had a wonderful time in the city. But we've got this really, really cool Woody double up list. I don't know if Woody originally made this. I don't know where this came from, but it is very cool. It has a really, really high win rate, and it's I really like the idea of Pixie Mobius and Moon Girl as like sort of a combo. If you get Pixie Mobius Moon Girl, right? Like, and you just have silly nonsense, it seems like you could put out an absolutely unbelievable amount of power. But like, you could also just go Pixie Mobius, not Moon Girl, and then still get like a Emperor Hulkling and a She-Hulk to end the game, right? Marvel Boy gives you that Squirrel Girl Sunspot extra power that's through the roof. This is really cool. Hell, Emperor Hulkling could give you a second She-Hulk for you to do nonsense with. Rogue is basically here to stop opposing Mobius nonsense. Not that opposing Mobius is all over the place, but it's very, very good at that. Just very cool list. I really, really like the look of this, and I'm looking forward to giving it a try, and then hopefully covering it on the channel soon. This is one of only 2 decks in this whole video that we have not covered on this channel in this season. Next up, we have BBAK, twitter.com/BBAK_snap. This is a player on the Asia server. Phenomenal player. Again, number 1 and number 2 in previous seasons. BBAK was very likely to be number 2 of this season as well. But once he realized he couldn't catch Derek, he started playing more silly decks. He only played one serious deck within the last week of the season. We have the deck that he used to climb to number 2, and the deck that he used to stick around the top 5 coming up. The discard was the big climber here, and then the zoo was the list that ended up pulling him back to number 5. He'd actually fallen to number 6 for a little while. It looked like he was going to finish out of this video entirely, but then the zoo was good enough to climb back up. This is the discard list that BBK used. We don't know what Hellcow stats are going to be when Hellcow is when Hellcow becomes an activate card. We do know Hellcow is becoming an activate card. if Hellcow becomes anything like a 4/6, I don't think he can be a 4/8 as an activate card, but if Hellcow becomes anything like a 4/6, just replacing Gambit, I think this is one of the best decks in the game. This card already puts out a stupid amount of power, so going even taller with this is incredibly strong. Again, we've covered this deck on the channel multiple times because we covered it as with Moon Knight in that Gambit spot and then with the Gambit change. I personally still like Moon Knight better, but look, Gambit gives you wins you have no business losing. More on that when we get to my infinite deck video coming either later today or tomorrow. But BBAK discard is a absolutely brilliant place to be within Marvel Snap currently. Then once BBK was off the discard, realized he couldn't catch number 1. He played junk, lost ranks, then regained ranks, won games with Zoo. Zoo remains really strong, really simple. This is not a list we're going to go into any great detail in. This is a standard list, and we have another Zoo higher up on the list. It's worth noting that no one talks about Zoo anymore because the list is more or less solved. It's this with like a couple of swing spots. Usually Kate Bishop is the swing spot, whether you have Hydra Bob or play another one there. But outside of that, it is a solved list. We know what Zoo is. We know what Zoo does. BBAK was able to take it near the top of the Infinite Leaderboard. All right, KX4N. Hey, we're going to get right to that Zoo list. KX4N is on the America server. Second at SnapCon. Hell of a season for KX4N. The 3 decks KX4N played are Dark Hawk good stuff. We're not crediting that to anyone. That's just a list that is around now. Then we have KX4N Zoo, and then we have the Mr. ELA High Evolutionary. Mr. ELA is awesome. Hopefully doing real well. I really like him. All right, so we have a standard good stuff list. This is like the goodest Dark Hawk list around. It says, okay, this is a descendant of the Slayer Blade list, right? The Slayer Blade lists were the lists that ran Professor X and Cannonball as a top end with a Ravonna Iron Man pattern. When Arishem came out, this version of the deck basically became the Arishem killer version. It's still really strong and answers an absolute ton of stuff. Versions of this run Juggernaut. If you are not seeing any more Arishem in your version of the meta, then Cassandra Nova for Juggernaut is a really easy switch. But this deck retains a really high win rate whenever it is played, and it's the Cosmo is just a cube stealer, right? Like, this isn't much of a cube stealer. Opponents should be relatively clear on when to stay and go against it, but they're never quite sure unless you're playing the same person over and over again. If you have Cosmo, and if you have Cosmo, you win extra cubes. Then we have the KX4N Zoo. This is the best Zoo list in the game, in my personal opinion. It's got an extra 1-drop in it, because why not, with Marvel Boy, and everything else is more or less the same, right? We're just saying we've got 4 1s, Hydra Bob or Martyr, pick your poison, right? And if you don't have either, then pick another one, you'll be fine. I don't think this one wants Titania, though, so pick a different one. You'll have to live with a 1-4 or something. If you have Silver Sable, that'll be fine. This runs all the 1s, and then it runs Shadow King as a surprise card. That's kind of it, right? Like, Shadow King is just a nice surprise game-winning card. There's some things you can't go over the top of, and a Shadow King on turn 4, turn 5 wins. Things like Destroy that would otherwise give you trouble. Kyra is the other cut here. This version just runs to Killmonger. It was doing really well, and then Killmonger came back into the meta in a fairly major way toward the end of the season, because this deck became a part of the meta in a fairly major way. And then, rather than run Kyra and play the 50-50 game, KX4N moved on to the Mystery LA, evolutionary list that ended up so great. And this is an evolutionary list that literally is running that 4/6 card just for Abomination. There are a million plays. This deck plays early clog, right? You're early on trying to clog your opponent, and then you're deciding whether to Annihilus over your the junk, the debris, the Mysterios, the so on and so forth, the hood, or you're deciding whether to drop a gigantic Ajax, and either which way, you've got a really cheap / nearly free Mockingbird Abomination. This list very often, fair warning, if you decide to play it, wants to Hazmat on 4. When I was away, Gunny T covered this list. This list is amazing. This list is phenomenal. If you can get your stuff going, if you can go like Mysterio, Debris, Hazmat, Annihilus, the opponent's just dead, especially if you had a hood out, right? But like, and then you also have the like wonderful plays of Acid Arrow stuff, other nonsense. If you do Hood and Debris, you've got a 1 cost 10 power Mockingbird to play, along with a 1 cost 6 power Hood, and very likely, if you've managed to get a Hazmat out, a completely freaking free Abomination, a like 520 Ajax. Phenomenal list. Remains one of the very best in Marvel Snap. If you're on the Americas server and have started to see more Luke Cage, this list is why. Alright, next up we have Butt. Stop trying to see Butt. Butt doesn't do social media. Butt is on the Americas server. The 3 Butt lists we're going to look at are Butt Negative, Butt Wiccan 1, and Butt Wiccan 2. Butt basically only plays Wiccan decks, and I'm going to stop saying his name right now. Butt's an awesome player and very kind person who often helps out with the channel. So Butt was doesn't compete every season, decided to this season, mostly when he started playing this Mr. Negative list. This list doesn't really exist anymore thanks to the Taskmaster change. It's still okay, but the goal of the list was basically to like play Sage. You can Wong Sage Taskmaster and just get a huge Sage that you then copy with Taskmaster. You can Wong Mystique Sage Taskmaster with Ravonna out, which was just crazy power. That's not the case anymore. You need negative more than ever with this list. The other thing you could do is you could Wong and throw Iron Fist on Wong, and then punch Dagger across 2 lanes, gathering power along the way, and then Taskmaster that. That play is still alive with Ravonna, but since the Sage one is so much harder to pull off, this list has taken a fairly severe hit. It was very cool while it lasted. Then we have Butt Stunks. This is the, so Emperor Hulkling, first and foremost, should be Magneto. When I featured the list, it was Hulkling week, and Butt was trying out Hulkling in that spot. It's not as good as Magneto in this list. Don't play it. Which is wild, because there was a list earlier that Hulkling is actually better than Magneto in. It was that Woody list from earlier. So this list is a meta list. You've probably seen this around because it is so good. Speed is very good here. Speed is basically always fine as Gladiator. We covered this as soon as we got back because I was dominating while I was in Colombia, and when I came back from a vacation, we featured it. It's a really simple list. It says, I play early stuff for power, I get extra energy, and then you can't stop me. That's it. It's really good. I don't, however, like it nearly as much as this. I'm in love with this WikiJax list. This is one of the lists I still have in game. I usually, after I get a good sample of games to try a deck out, delete it because I always have more decks to try. I literally have like 19 frickin' decks to feature right now, and I don't know how I'm going to do it because there's an OTA this week, but I want to try and feature as much as I can. We'll figure that out later, but for the time being, this is a very consistent get Wiccan up list, but it's also a list that does not need Wiccan in any way, shape, or form. You can easily win doing US Agent, Man-Thing, Ajax things without Wiccan. Speed is, again, just a big card. Red Guardian is super disruptive in the meta right now, and Luke says, I don't have downside. Luke means your Wiccans aren't going to be, your Ajaxes aren't going to be 20-odd power, but when your opponent's whole side of the board has -1 power, your 11 to 14 power Wiccan just is usually enough. This list is very strong. I don't know how to overemphasize. I think this is one of probably the 5 best lists in the game today, were I ranking everything. This is the first list that we've taken a look at that I think really has that distinction like locked up as a thing that more people should be playing, more trying. Maybe the Mr. ELA list, but there is a version of that list I like better that we'll be getting to shortly. Number 2 is Barzy. Our friend Barzy plays on the EU server. The 3 decks Barzy played are the Big Baby Cersei Annie, the Get Wrecked Bounce, and the Batman Barzy Idiots. Batman made the list, Barzy tweaked it, and then Batman went and played the Barzy version. This is one of the best decks in the game. Barzy is either currently, I believe, number 2 on the Infinite Leaderboard with the deck we're going to talk about last. The Barzy Cersei, which is really the Big Baby Cersei, Barzy shared it with me, and I did not realize it was Big Baby's list until after I wrote the name, and then I just figured I'd credit Baby. Baby is awesome. Another top 10 player that is in the what I call the Woody group. I don't know why I credit Woody. They should probably name themselves. Maybe they're the Gyat group because they all put Gyat in their name right now. All right, so this list is awesome. It is a simple junk Cersei list, right? It's saying if everyone's going to play junk, I'm going to have a Nihilist too. And if everyone's going to play junk, I'm going to have Cersei. And then because everyone else has a Nihilist, everyone else has all this junk crap, my Mockingbird is free too. They get clogged. They can't grow their stuff. It counters most of the meta. This is a phenomenal list. I don't think it's top 5 in the game right now, but I think it's still great, and I think it's very likely to remain a great list. I think one of the answers for move with Madam Web coming out in a couple days is going to be junk stuff so that the opponent just doesn't have space to move cards. And I think a list like this will counter the junk that's countering the move. Although this, and then like even in this list, Killmonger and Shadow can give you some play into the opposing move as well. Next up, we have the Barzy Get Wrecked. This is a nice, simple bounce list. This was the best list in the game when Loki was a 3-5. I have almost no doubt that this was the single best list in the game with a 3-5 Loki. A 2-2 Loki kills this list. It doesn't really exist, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on it. Flipping Loki and Beast cost completely wrecked the face off this deck. It was so powerful. This was my favorite list. I literally deleted it earlier today. I was holding on to hope, but it's not there anymore. And then finally, Token Idiots is my pick for the best deck in Marvel Snap right now. Our friend RS Bary is number 1 on the Infinite leaderboard with this list. It has undergone a change. Some people have Hydra Bob, some don't. They just run Nightcrawler if they don't. But the other change is that Armor has left the list because without the Atuma nonsense everywhere, Destroy is much less of an issue and has become Juggernaut. Juggernaut Cosmo is an insanely strong combo. And being able to do both on the last turn of the game while also playing Scar just is absolutely unfair. The Atuma change made this list. It means you don't. It lets Mysterio be the power up for Mockingbird Sasquatch without Mysterio royally screwing up. Royally screwing up your Crossbones, and then Crossbones was often a dead card, and you had all that trouble. You basically just play Atuma alone here. Marvel Boys in and out of the list for Shadow King. I think right now people are on Shadow King, and in a few days with Move everywhere, Shadow King will be even better, as will Cosmo. But never the fricking less. This is the best deck in Marvel Snap as of the recording of this video. We covered it last Monday on the channel, and I guess we should probably update it for the new card, so we'll cover this again relatively soon here for you on the channel, just so you know what is happening at the top of the Infinite leaderboard. But this is the best deck in Marvel Snap. Barzy discovered it, or Batman discovered it, however exactly the play pattern went. Within the last week of the season, Barzy climbed from number 5, barely hanging on to number 5, to number 2 with this. Hey, if you'd like to see gameplay from these decks, please check out the stream team. Later on today, the King of Canada will be playing these decks on his stream, and then Monday, Gregor2424 will have an awesome bunch of games from some more of these new decks. If you're interested as well, both the Pirate King Tuccrr and the great FaThorNewman have videos on YouTube with decks of these games with these decks. I see it turned off and I stuttered. All right, so Derek is number 1. Derek plays in the EU server, but he's on the others leaderboard. He doesn't stream; he just wins. So the 3 decks Derek has are Good Stuff Mockingbird, Derek's Evo Jax, that's the one I'm in love with, and Derek's Mid-Range Control. So the number 1 world deck from Derek is this is the one he first climbed to number 1 with. This is again just a list that we're not completely crediting to Derek. This existed forever. The Elsa, I believe, is Derek's edition, though. I love Elsa. Elsa's one of my favorite cards, so I played a lot of this list. It's very strong, but it was very early in the season when this was meta. This is probably still a really strong deck, but it's not where we ended up. This is the deck I played basically all at the end of last season. Vacation tanked my rank. I fell from top 500 to to 3,000. Oh, I don't think I ever got to actually 3,000, but 2 to 3,000. I finished last season around 900, 950, something like that. I don't actually remember the number. Since I now finish in the top 1,000, I'm only paying attention if I hit new records. But I was within the top 1,000 with this exact list. This is the only list I played. I then played this again to most of the way to Infinite this season. We're going to cover this list on the channel as well when we cover my Infinite list, because I feel like we have to. I had almost 70% win rate in top 1000 Infinite with this very list. It's insanely good. This is my current favorite non-bounce list in Marvel Snap. I like this a little better than Mr. ELA list. It's a little less finicky, but both are stellar lists if you're looking that way. Please note exactly, again, 1 of Evolutionary card. Finally, we have the list that Derek played to number 1. Derek is off this list now, but this was the best list last season for a lot of reasons. Mobius stomped out even the opposing idiots deck that we talked about from Barzy. Shadow King has play into a million things, and with either Mockingbird or Sasquatch, you're not really giving up power. Man-Thing says all the little guys decks suffer. Luke Cage says you can't do any of your hazmat bullshit. Killmonger answers Zoo. This deck answered everything. It was phenomenal. I played a ton of it. I still have it. I haven't deleted it. I think it's really, really fun. And right now, I'm still in the top 500-ish. I think I'm literally like 470 last I checked. So this list still competes. It still rocks. It's still amazing. At the very top of the Infinite leaderboard, there's just enough opposing Luke Cage to have put Derek off this, but this list is insanely strong. It doesn't look nearly as strong as it does. Every time I show this list to someone, they're like, it's fine. Then you play it, and you're like, oh, it works. It just works. Every little bit of it works. It has an answer for everything. It has a pattern for everything. Cool. Props to Derek for this list, for finishing number one, and for being so dominant. Props to everyone in the top 5, KX4N, Yo Woody MJ, BBAK, But, and of course, the great Barzy for their wonderful, wonderful play. Hey, if you're interested in checking out our Patreon, I'm trying to remember to do this once a week. I'd like to invite you to join our Patreon. The $1 tier comes with Snap Judgments League Tournament. We're kicking it off this week. You can still enter, but you're going to have to do it manually by joining the Discord. But first, you get on the Patreon as a $1 tier. There's also a deck guide. I need someone to keep that a little updated for me, so it's not posted yet while we get the last couple updates on it. But it's got a deck archive of the decks we cover on the channel on it, which is pretty freaking awesome. In addition to those two things, the $5 tier comes with early access to the videos. So if you want these videos basically the instant I'm done recording them every single day, check those out. Exclusive questions for podcast hosts, more stuff like that on the $5 tier. $10 tier gets shout outs every video, gets an exclusive giveaway that I still have to post. I'll actually post that as soon as I post this video. And the $10 tier also comes with one weekly exclusive video where I go over what I think the top 10 decks of the week are from my own videos, like a weekly roundup of the videos, and then I like scroll through Untapped stats and sort of explain what I'm seeing in the meta. So if any of that sounds good to you, please check out patreon.com/snapjudgments. It would mean a lot, and that's a lot of that money is the money I use to really help support the community as well. All right, top 5 decks to watch. September, sorry. I don't want it to be September. I want it to still be August. I'm back at work. I love my job, but God, is it exhausting. All right, decks from Komi's. That's a Hela deck. Crazy Bounce. Derek's Sarah. Woody's Move Bounce. And Jeet's Phoenix Force. So just so you know, this is 2 months in a row. We decided to start checking last month. We didn't check prior. We hit on 3.5 out of the 5 lists, as in within the top players list for each season. We hit on 3.5 of the list. I think that's pretty damn good. We missed on 1.5 this season. The 0.5, one of the ones we missed on was a Loki bounce. The werewolf version of that still competed. We actually even literally saw that list, but I'm not counting as a full hit because it's so dead now because they finally got rid of Loki. Who knew? And then the other one we totally missed on was just a pure Loki list. There was like Loki Tempo that was like going even more all in on Loki. That's just totally dead. Didn't appear, didn't matter. But 3.5 out of 5 is a prediction. Not too bad, right? And while we're here, question of the day, we're going to look at these 5 lists. I want you to tell me which of these or what other list you think is going to be at the top of the meta at the end of the September season. That's how you enter to win the season pass. Got it? What deck of these 5 or from the rest of the meta do you expect to dominate in this coming September season? This ongoing September season? That's probably a little more accurate. All right, Komi's Hela. This list's sick. Komi's is the current Marvel Snap World Champion. I can explain what that means, but I explain it every time. All you need to know is Komi's is the current Marvel Snap World Champion, and Hela is ready. Symbiote Spider-Man is amazing in Hela. So if you don't have Hela, Symbiote Spider-Man says, I can discard your whole hand for you. It says, I can double Jubilee for you. Both of those are insanely strong, right? Like, for obvious reasons. I don't have to explain that. The other reason that I think Hela is here is because coming real soon, we've got an Activate-based Hell Cow, which is going to be even better for discard for Hela. So that's probably going to end up replacing something like Lady Sif. And I think if it can do that, we'll end up taking out Death. But like that's neither here nor there. We'll put another big power card, and that's that makes the 6/14 better, Giganto better for the list. But whatever. Either which way, that combination, all the combinations that this deck gets when Hell Cow changes and from Symbiote Spider-Man mean Hela is back. We are doing a full video on this deck pretty damn soon. This is one of the best decks in the game. Go play it. If you need a guide, that'll be out later today/tomorrow too. All right, next up we have Crazy's Give Me That Bounce. This is Crazy's bounce list. This list right now is a Wiccan list. In a few days, hopefully the OTA Thursday, we might have to wait until Tuesday for the patch, Black Swan will become an activate card. I think that Black Swan as an activate card goes in this deck over Wiccan, which might replace White Widow and might not replace White Widow. Right, I could easily see that becoming just a different card once like maybe Mysterio, I don't think Mysterio, but maybe Mysterio, maybe something else once Wiccan is no longer needed because White Widow is here because you needed a 2 you want to play on 2. It could also be Kate Bishop. But if you basically have to play Wiccan on turn 4 anyway, right? Like you're almost never Wiccaning on turn 5 in bounce. Wiccan is only a turn 4 play, then even at 3/5 Brain, a Black Swan will do the same job except better, right? Wiccan's giving you 2 extra energy, Black Swan's giving you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least like potentially 5 or 6 extra energy, and I don't know, 5 or 6 is more than 2. At least that's my current maths. Get it? Good. So if that's the case, then that will change in this list. Otherwise worth noting here, this list is great and should be played. This is what a lot of the Snap Judgments Alliance has played. Again, we'll be covering this deck relatively soon on the channel. Yeah, seems like the Hitmonkey version is back as Sandman has left the meta. Oh, if you're playing the Sandman list that runs Symbiote Doom, that's not meta right now. Please stop. I've been beating the crap out of that list. I don't know where it came from, but there's a Sandman, Doom, Symbiote, Spider-Man list that I don't think is very good, but is all over the place. Someone featured it. It's a cool idea. It's a very cool idea, but like there's too much junk in the meta for like you to guarantee yourself you're hitting a 6, and Symbiote Spider-Man's not really good enough otherwise. I don't know. I really don't like that list right now. Okay. Derek's current best list. Derek remains I think he's number 3 or 4 on the Infinite Leaderboard right now. With a bunch of lists, we've got all of them. This is Derek's favorite of them, the one that is winning the most. It's running frickin' Sentinel and Goose. So what Goose is here in this list, I was like, I don't get Goose. Goose is in 2 of the lists that Derek sent me. Derek takes a lot of heat for his love of Goose. But what Goose is a way to guarantee that a specific lane won't get magnetoed or alive. And if you think about it, that's really, 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 really strong, right? It also gives you a better shot at making sure your US Agent hits multiple cards. So if you can get a 7/9 power US Agent, that's a card that's as powerful as a Bishop or a Hitmonkey for 1 cheaper, which again is amazing, especially with Sarah in the list. You can get rid of a bunch of zoo nonsense with Killmonger and give yourself a bunch of extra power. That extra power is pretty nice with Mysterio. Sarah is also really, really nice with Hitmonkey. I asked why Gwenpool in this list, and was basically just Gwenpool Mysterio is OP, is basically the gist here. This list is great. It is one of the best lists in Marvel Snap. This is not going to be featured in the next day, because I want to see how this look. This should just rock move, right? The move lists that are going to be everywhere, this has Shadow King and Killmonger and should be able to throw Prio. And if it can't throw Prio, and like Mobius to mess up the Beast nonsense, or if it ends up running a Swan, like this list should have an answer for everything. And if it doesn't, I'm going to tell you this seriously, like this is weird, but Invisible Woman or Ghost, and then the problem is solved. This list is great, friends. Great, 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 great list. Next up, we have Woody's move. Woody has had Nico as the last card in this. I made Nico Madam Web because within a day, Madam Web will be out. So why am I busy? Like a day and a half, Madam Web will be out by the time most of you watch this. So why am I pretending that's not a card for the sake of the video? Madam Web and Aranya should go in this list. I believe that will cut either Doctor Strange or Cloak. I'm personally partial to cutting Cloak. I am not a Cloak fan. But just this list should be insane. This list should be a ton of power. Maybe we want Falcon, maybe not. I feel like we just don't lean in on Human Torch to fight it, but I don't Like, if you can get 2 movers in this list and Madam Web out, you should be able to win. If you can get 2 movers in Hercules, you should be able to win. I don't know what else to say. You'd have to be very unlucky not to have more power than anything else. So the opponent better have Shang, they better have Shadow King, because this is humongous. Dagger is stupid in this list. Vulture is stupid in this list. I'm excited as can be to try this out, to see what this does to the meta. I might hate it in a week. It's entirely possible this isn't any good. But because Woody has already had success with this list with Nico, who's honestly not very good here, in it, I think Madam Web is all but guaranteed to really, really kick it up a notch. And finally, Jeet is back. Jeet is playing Phoenix Force. I didn't put Madam Web or Aranya in this list, but Madam Web or Aranya will very likely go in this list. Likely for Doctor Strange, maybe for Hulkbuster, but likely for Doctor Strange. Jeet came back. Jeet finished top 15 last season. Jeet is in the top 5 this season with Phoenix Force. Again, we will cover this list in great detail soon. This or the Nimrod version is the best Symbiote Spider-Man list. Ava is an absolute monster with his all Nimrod magic version, but no one else is as good with this, although I guess no one's as good as Jeet with Jeet's list either. This list is about to get so much better, and it's already one of the best things to do in Marvel Snap. I just think you're going to be able to put up so stupid much power with it. Shadow King will be around, right? So you have to worry about that. But like, until the meta adjusts, this is one of the best decks. And I fully expect Jeet, just because he's Jeet, to be one of the best players in the world with it and remain at the top of the Infinite Leaderboard. And if other people play it, it'll be great. This is as well positioned as Phoenix Force has ever been, I believe, at this moment. And again, we'll have to see what happens with Shadow King to make sure that continues. All right, that's our top decks that I expect for the September season. Let's do one question of the day here. Our question of the day, MTL asked on our Discord if how end of the game ward worked, and Sky Zoro found this awesome explanation. So I just want to spend the day going over this for our wonderful viewers. So here's how this works. Invisible Woman, the Dark Dimension, and Supergiant reveal first. If any of those are out, they reveal first, and they reveal left to right, and play order. Good? Next up, we have Mysterio, Martyr, Captain Marvel, and Dracula. They're the second reveals. So Mysterio, Martyr, Captain Marvel, Dracula reveals second. Got it? They will always reveal after Invisible Woman, Dark Dimension, Supergiant. So if you Invisible Woman, Shang-Chi in the Dracula lane, Invisible Woman will always reveal Shang-Chi before Dracula discards whatever card Dracula discards. It will always reveal before Captain Marvel or Martyr decide to move or Mysterio decides to reveal. And the last thing that happens is always M'Baku, because there has to be room for M'Baku. Turn 6 priority determines who flips first, and it'll happen left to right just like everything else. And then play order comes into effect for the second group. So if you had if you play Dracula after Captain Marvel, or it's the opponent plays Dracula after Captain Marvel will move, and then Dracula will trigger, often tricking Captain Marvel, which is a common thing. Or Mysterio is played after, same basic concept. If Mysterio is played first, though, Mysterio will reveal first, Captain Marvel will see that Mysterio reveal and work that way. Does that make sense for everybody? Hopefully, yes. That's it. Certain tiers of support on our channel. The $10 win comes with on-air thanks every single episode. That's our Patreon. So I'm going to say thank you to our patrons, including 2 new ones. Woo! I'd like to say thank you to the great Abigail Gieslin, our friend Mandatory Burnout, one of our alliance leaders. Cables, you rock. Thank you for yesterday, or Friday. Time again is a problem. Regardless, thank you so much. David G. Wingfield, hello friend. Direwolf, love the support. Thanks for keeping an eye on that chat too. Always kind, LAB. FaThorNewman, who you need to check out on Twitch and YouTube, the best storyteller in Snap. Good Dog Gamer, I still got that deck, my friend. Deuce Vault, coming all the way from Scotland. Ink, the Graphite fan. I am Frostman, who should get this video early, let me know. Jay Never Eats, hello Jay. Corbin, Prime Ryan, thank you, my friend, sponsor of Snap Judgments League Season 2, our biggest season yet. Ryan Burke, hey Berkey. I grew up on Burke Avenue. Heretics Lee, King of Questions, Koirei coming all the way from Japan, Black Dahlia, whose alliance I'm currently in, and hey, if you're looking for an alliance, we got some space, so if you need an alliance, get on that Discord in the description to this video. Then we have, Pyro Frost, hey Pyro, the Goat Seeker, another of our alliance leaders, the Great Denman Falcon, who you should check out on YouTube, he does really great shorts about God Splits. We have Crid Pro Joe. Hey, Joe. Doc D, the king of new Marvel Snap card content. I'll be on Doc D's channel relatively soon to do a tier list. Doc D was on the podcast that we released yesterday. Fat Nick, another of our alliance leaders and homies. Mr. Kerfuffle, new friend alert. Thank you so much for the support, Mr. Kerfuffle. It is amazingly appreciated. Ginger Prime, hey Ginge. Ratco, who does all our shorts, is a wonderful person. Hope you're doing good, Ratco. Haplo, who rhymes with Ratco. Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone. Rob Silverman, another of our OGs. The Notorious Bizza. X-Force V and Skippy G, rhyming friends. Tommy Nyquist, winner of Snapchat League Season 1 and sponsor of our previous and next seasons. The King of Bros, bro. The Great Kazoo. Hello, Jess. Hopefully you're doing well. Woody. Kev. Again, hopefully you guys are doing well. Lunacris. Hello, Lunacris. Quantum Quinn. This is like the great name section. Lunacris and Quantum Quinn are two of my favorite names. John Q. And then we got Jimmy McHugh. So they had to go together. Jim McHugh is another of our new friends. Thank you, Jim McHugh, so freaking much for the upgrade. You know it's super appreciated. You've got Clam. It's like got an exclamation point, so I say it that way. I don't know. Whatever. The Eighth Sage. Again, really cool name. Mod Supreme and person who keeps my life in order as far as Marvel Snap goes. Models. The one and only Darth Tater. Joe P. Hey, Joe. Brian Kaufman. Tristan H. Martin. We've got name initial, name, full name, including Tristan H. Martin, who's like, yeah, I got a middle initial. Jason B., another name initial. The great J.D. Maldonado, who's streaming more and more and should be checked out. Phenomenal player. The Fuzzy Dunlop. Spectrumix. Matt H. There's only one, but we only need one. No offense to other Matt H. DJ Mikey Hijinks. No freaking flex. Ocularis. Hey, Ocularis. Mr. Craig Sterry. Seamus, who's catching up on videos. Tell me when you see this, Seamus. Jonesy, who you gotta check out the triple threat on YouTube. He's got some ridiculous rants, but I'm always entertained. Our friend Two Ties, the great Lauren Whatevs, the Pirate King. Tuccrr, one of the best Twitch streamers in the world, who's killing it on YouTube lately. The Homie Min, who I still miss so much. And of course, Gunny T, where the T stands for right below. We have a link to Top Decks, some more if you're so inclined. I'll let you know if I'm back later today. Keep an eye out. Maybe I will be, maybe I won't be. We're doing a 2-video day sometime very soon, one way or the other. Thanks so much for watching. You are so appreciated. Peace.